Women educators are natural givers, pouring into their students, their families, and communities. But what about pouring into you? This is the Educator Sanctuary, where we help you ditch the guilt and unapologetically put yourself at the top of your list. I'm Dr. Leah, educator, mindset coach, and your guide to creating a life where you align with your purpose and reclaim your power. So if you're ready to set boundaries and step fully into the woman you're meant to be, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome back to the Educator Sanctuary, where we have big conversations, mindset shifts, personal growth, and all the things that help us live more intentionally. Whether you are a mom, a teacher, a community leader, or a woman holding space for others, this show is for you. And today, I really want to sit with you and unpack something that has been sitting on me, because I really do think, or hope, that it is going to shift the way you look at some of the things that you are currently experiencing in your life. So I'm going to be talking about perspective today, and not like surface level change or the mindset kind of thing, maybe a little bit of mindset, but I mean the way that your internal lens or the story that you tell yourself or the fears that you have internalized influences the patterns that you live and actually frame what you believe is possible, and not just for you, but for all the people around you. We're going to be talking about all of that today. Of course, you all know that when I talk about something, that I'm going to be talking about it from the perspective of something that I've seen, heard, or experienced. And this one is going to be about how sometimes we're moving through life thinking that we are being honest with ourselves or realistic, but we're actually being driven. Whether it's driven by your old wounds or driven by something maybe that you experienced in your childhood that's keeping you playing small. If you're not careful, you're going to continue to be guided by that inner voice that shows up as doubt, that shows up as fear, that shows up as judgment, and not just towards yourself, but towards others too. So of course, where did this all come from, right? So I was watching this game show, and I'm the type of person, like, I don't really watch TV over time. I really don't watch TV at all. But when I get ready to say, oh, I have a few minutes today, I'm going to sit and watch something, I will literally sit and binge watch like one season over a day or two, because one, I don't want to wait for anything to see what's going to happen next week. And two, if I don't finish it, the chances of me finishing it at a date in the future is probably not likely. So I'm typically like, I have the time now, I'm just going to go ahead and watch it now. So I was watching this game show, not anything super deep. It's one of those reality TV game shows, which I really love. All shows like Survivor or The Amazing Race, game reality shows that make people like do things. Like back in the day, it used to be Fear Factor. I used to love me some Fear Factor. But there was a moment in this particular game show that made me look and pause and was like, oh, I have to talk about this. Like, this has to be in the episode for a future week. So there was this woman. So they were doing a challenge, and the challenge was they had to get on these, I call them inflatable harps, because I don't really know what they are. I'm not a person who knows things about outdoor stuff. But anyway, I call it an inflatable harp. But anyway, they had to sit on this inflatable harp, and they needed to have spelling bee competition. And if they got the word correct, then nothing happened. But if they got the word wrong, then something would make them like fly off this harp into the air and then like splash into the ocean. So a lot of people were afraid of that part of being wrong, splashing up into flying into the sky and splashing into the ocean. And this is very important for the story. So there's two women, and they're on the same team, and one of the women was up for the challenge. And so at this point in the game, she was seriously debating on whether she should throw the game. And her rationale was that if she intentionally underperforms, then the rest of the group wouldn't necessarily see her as a threat. So she was like, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. But if I can also do this and they say that I'm smart, they may consider me a threat and they will want to vote me off of the show. So she is literally thinking at this point, I'm just going to sabotage my success, not because she can't win, but because she's afraid of what winning might cost her, which is the game, and the prize is about $250,000. So long story short, in the end, she decides to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and play it fair. So she gets her word and then she spells it and everything is good, right? So now there's the other girl on her team. She's up. And when it was her turn, she actually messed up what I thought was a super easy word. So when the first girl that I told you about saw like, no way did she mess up this easy word. Oh, that word is so easy. There's no way. And so she says, she sabotaged the game. She sabotaged the game because she doesn't want anyone to think that she's a strong player. She wants to fly under the radar and she wants everyone to vote me out. So what do we call this, class? What do we call this? Projection. She threw out a projection. So at this point in the game, we don't know why the girl messed up. I didn't know for sure if she messed up that word, but it was not likely that she did it on purpose. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe she got nervous. Maybe she's scared of the water. Maybe she's scared of like being flung into the air. Either way, the first girl is the girl who said she's going to throw the game. Then she immediately starts accusing the second girl of doing it on purpose because that's what she was going to do. But then instead of keeping that to herself and letting that be her own theory, she starts going around to tell everybody, yeah, so-and-so, she threw the game. She threw the game because she wants to do this. Now, she never went back to ask the second girl why she spelled the word wrong. You know, was she nervous? She never confirmed from the girl why she did that. She just took it upon herself to start going to spread the rumors of what she thought this other girl was doing. And so she, at this point is where I felt like she was manipulating the game. She wanted to paint herself as this bigger person and put the target on someone else's back, right? Now, this was absolutely not gameplay. In her humble opinion, she basically was like, oh, I just want everybody to see the truth. Like, I just want everybody to see for what she is. But she didn't consider it gameplay. She literally considered it like she was helping everyone because she didn't want this other person manipulating other people. And so with that projection, it was her fears talking. It was her insecurity. It was her own thoughts that she almost acted on herself. And now she started placing that lens onto somebody else. It ended up coming out that, hey, this rumor has been going on about you. And is this true? Like, did you truly throw the game? And so the girl was like, no, I honestly was just so embarrassed because I know that I'm so smart and that word was so easy. Like, there's no way that I should have gotten it wrong. But it was like the whole thought of her getting it wrong and being tossed into the air and ending up in the ocean that scared her. And even though she had already spelled the word mentally in her mind, it did not come out of her mouth. And so she ended up walking around for the next few days just being super embarrassed, closing in, not really wanting to be around other people, worrying about what people might think of her because she got something so small incorrect. All of this, because you're like, where is this going? All of this got me thinking about how many times we do this in real life. Now, I guess I should go back and say at that elimination round, they kind of chatted about what happened. And she's like, well, you told everybody that, you know, this happened, but you never even confronted me to ask me like why I got it wrong or anything. You just started like trying to manipulate everybody into making me look bad. So the girl who did the manipulation said right before the elimination. And so the elimination was they spin this wheel. And if it lands on your name, then you're out. And so the girl said, you know what? I'm just going to let the wheel do its thing. So they had this argument, and she's upset about it, but she still thinks that she is right. And so she was like, well, the wheel has been doing whatever it wants to do. So I'm just going to let it speak its truth. I am going to let it just take out the person who has been playing the game dirty. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, I hope that the wheel takes you out, because you're the only person. And me, I'm the outside looking in. So I'm like, you're the only person that's been playing dirty. The other girl don't even know what's going on. And so of course the wheel spins. Hey, Educator Sanctuary listeners. Are you a homeschooling mom or thinking about it, but feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or maybe unsure how to confidently guide your child's learning journey? Maybe you're craving time for self-care, rest, or just a break, but you feel like you're doing it all on your own without anyone to turn to for help. Let me introduce you to Purpose Prep Academy, an online and in-person STEAM micro school for learners in grades K-8. Purpose Prep Academy isn't just any school. It's a space where young minds are nurtured, empowered, and taught to lead with confidence, curiosity, and purpose. Purpose Prep Academy focuses on providing students with the academic tools they need while fostering personal growth to help them thrive both inside and outside the classroom. At Purpose Prep Academy, they offer personalized learning, foster critical thinking, and provide real-world applications to help students become 21st century leaders and change makers. If you're looking for a program that can help you reclaim your time, give you peace of mind, or simply give your child a space to thrive, Purpose Prep Academy could be exactly what you've been looking for. Want to learn more? Visit purposeprepacademy.org to schedule a virtual meeting or an experience day and find out if Purpose Prep Academy is the right fit for your family. And who do you know gets out? Her. She's immediately eliminated. So it's almost like she got her karma definitely immediately. And so that's what got me thinking, how many times we do this in real life? Like, how many times are we so caught up in our own unhealed patterns or our own doubts or our own limiting beliefs that we can't even see when we're projecting those same limiting beliefs onto other people? And it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's super subtle, and it comes out like, I don't want you to play soccer because I don't want you to get hurt, or if you get hurt, then you mess up like other things you want to do in life. And maybe it's your fear because maybe you weren't good at something. And so now you're projecting this onto your child. It could come out as, why are you doing this? I remember someone asked me one day, like, oh, why are you going back to school? Why are you getting another degree? Don't you have enough degrees? And it's like, because I want to, and I don't really need to explain to anybody why I'm getting more degrees. But it could just be an insecurity in someone else because they didn't get their degree. And so they're wondering like, wow, I don't even have one. Why does she need to have two or three or whatever? And so I'm like, sometimes it's just very subtle. Sometimes it's like how that girl's asking me, don't you think you're doing too much? Or you may say, hey, I would never get on social media and do this or say this. Or somebody even asked me because I had a video where I teared up and they was like, oh my God, you're on social media and you were crying. Like, people want to see authenticity. And so if this happened in my life, then those tears were a part of that story, then I'm going to share that. But a lot of times we are so closed off. We got to be so private with our personal business. And we don't realize that because we have fears and insecurities, and that's something we wouldn't do. I would never do that. It doesn't mean that it's not for someone else to do. It means that you're not comfortable with yourself. It doesn't mean that we keep someone else from playing soccer or doing gymnastics or being authentic on social media or getting multiple degrees or having a big home or driving a luxury car. I would never pay. That's another one. I would never pay this much money for that. That's what you wouldn't do. Like, we don't project those fears onto other people. And so what hit me was that the one decision, placing that projection onto someone else and trying to rally people around that projection, it almost cost both girls something major. One person was trying to protect her ego. The other person was trying to hide her mistake. And in the middle of that, they both, one absolutely lost her chance of winning the $250,000, and the other one almost got sent home. So she had to like redirect herself and, play. And she did get to the end, even though she still didn't ultimately win. She almost lost out on something that was very important to her. And so, of course, this is way deeper than the game show. Like, I look at everything through a lens of like a lesson. The girl who messed up didn't do it on purpose. She was sincerely nervous. And she admitted that later when someone went to actually ask her about it. But instead of owning up to her mistake in the beginning and trying to stay present with her team, she shrunk herself. She isolated. She started acting out of fear and embarrassment. And I think that we've all been there before, including me. I have messed up. I remember, transparency, because a lot of people don't know me that well, but I remember when I got pregnant at a young age before I went to college. And I was the smart person. I was the person that everybody was like, oh my gosh, she's so smart. She's this, she's this. I was a gifted student. So when I got pregnant, everyone was upset at me. And they tried to make me believe that, oh, you're pregnant, your life is over. You haven't even made it to college yet. Now you're just going to have to get a job and do this because you're not going to be able to be this type of person. You're not going to be able to have these opportunities. You're not going to be able to make this much money. And everybody tried to tear me down. Thank goodness that I had my own internal self to say, I'm not what any of these people say that I am. It was one honest mistake. And not only did I go on to college and became the first person in my family to graduate with a degree, I'm the first person in my family that has 2 master's degrees and then a doctorate degree and then became an entrepreneur and then built my own house. Like, I'm the first person that have done exceedingly and abundantly above all I could ask, think, or imagine, and God is not done yet. But if I would have taken someone else's projection for my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so we've all been there where we know that we've messed something up. But instead of facing our mistakes, we pull back, we go quiet, and we let our shame start talking louder than our goals. And that silence or that fear, it has created space for someone else to dominate what they want for your life. And that's actually what happens if we do not own our truth. We begin to create a gap between what we desire and where we want to go. And we allow someone else's perspectives to fill that up. And then we end up on this path that we didn't want to take. Then on the other side, you have a girl that was projecting her fears onto somebody else, but not just in her mind. She tried to make it a movement. She literally went from thinking, this is exactly what she's doing. I know she's doing it because I thought that's what I was going to do. I know, I'm a gamer, I know. So she used like, oh, this is my limited perspective and I'm just going to run with that. And so instead of her having the thought, she went to other people and started planting the seed. She went out planting seeds of doubt, planting seeds of gossip, planting seeds of suspicion. And then what happened? Everybody did jump on her bandwagon. Everybody did look at that other person differently. Pretty sure the same way other people were viewing me when I got pregnant at a younger age. But the wheel that she hoped would bring justice on the person that she wanted out of the game actually landed on her name. She was the one out of the game. And so if you really think about it, it's like how many people projecting their fears on you have not even reached their goals? How many people trying to shame you probably got their own stuff that they're not talking about, but it's so much easier to project and put you into the light. So there are multiple sides when we start talking about projection on the giving end and projection on the receiving end. So what I am saying is that when you're on the receiving end, you begin to shrink in silence. You begin to be too embarrassed to show up after a mistake. You are too afraid to own it and move forward. You start walking in what I like to call delay, meaning if you straighten up and you own up and you fix up, you can still get what you were out there looking for. But a lot of times what ends up happening is that we actually end up forfeiting our dreams, and not because we're not capable of receiving them, but because you chose to let the fear win. And then there's times that we're on the giving end, okay, myself included. I try to be super conscious with my girls though, because I'm like, I don't want my dream for whatever, maybe I didn't get to do something. I don't want me to project onto them what I think they should do. I try my hardest to ask them questions and to get them to make their own decisions, because I don't ever want them to have to come back to me and say, you're the reason that I didn't do this. But there are times that we have been the other person on the giving end, maybe not loud and dramatic like the girl in the game show, but we've let our own judgments or our own assumptions or our own limited understanding start shaping how we see other people. You don't always get back what you say in life, but you always will get back what you sow. And if you're constantly sowing doubt, suspicion, and negativity, even if it's wrapped up as a concern, it's coming back, not to punish you, but to definitely reveal you. The other point is that we have to stop thinking that we own other people's journeys, even our kids, even our students, even our close friends, and realize that we don't get to say how somebody else's dream gets fulfilled just because we don't understand it. We don't get to label somebody else as not ready or not serious or not built for it just because they move differently than you. All of us have something in us, whether it's unhealed, whether it is some piece of information that we do not understand, whether it is fear, whether it is limited vision, whether it is a limited perspective, whether it's a limited way of life that we didn't get to have. All of us have something. But at the end of the day, your projections don't delay someone else of their dreams and goals. They also delay you too, and they also could set you back further than you anticipated. So just like the girl who went home, her projections actually got her just kicked out of the game altogether, and her projections also cost someone else their ultimate dream and vision. So we want to be careful of being the giver and the receiver of fear, of doubt, of suspicion, of negativity. We're not perfect. We're always learning, but this is always a time to reflect and ask yourself, homework, where am I projecting and where am I shrinking? Meaning, where are you placing expectations on judgments on someone else's journey because maybe you didn't have the freedom to do something yourself? Maybe you're shrinking or delaying your own purpose because you're afraid to face a mistake, or you're afraid to be misunderstood, or you're afraid to speak up for yourself. And because this is key, you should ask yourself what you are sowing, because what you sow, you shall also reap. So whether it's with your own children, whether it's with your kids in a classroom, whether it's with your coworkers or the people that you manage in a business, whether it's you in a relationship in your marriage, whether it's just you, yourself, people and yourself room to grow, or are you trying to control the outcome? Are you encouraging people to keep going, or are you projecting your own pause into their life? Because whatever you plant in the dark will grow in the light.
And the seed doesn't care whether your intentions were pure or not. It only responds to what was actually sown. So whether that is your life or someone else's life, we have to really think about what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we're saying, why we're saying it. And I would say to think about the root cause of your talk, your thoughts, and your actions. Because if you want your dreams to flourish or your relationships to thrive, and if we want to see our students and our kids step into the fullness of who they are, we have to deal with our own projections. We have to be able to release what is not ours to control. We have to be able to reclaim the parts of ourselves that we have been hiding just because we made a mistake. And so I know this was a lot, probably the longest I've ever just sat and talked, but I just felt like, wow, this was so good. And I definitely wanted to share it. But if this hit home for you, please take 30 seconds and share it with someone else who might need to hear it. You can screenshot the podcast. You can click on the little share button, the square with the little arrow, send it to someone else. And I always like to leave you with something. So just remember that you are exactly who you think you are. So start thinking very highly of yourself. Limit the projections on others. Get rid of the fear for yourself and walk and talk and move and breathe like the highest and best version of yourself. I'll catch you all later in the next episode. Thank you for joining me in the Educator Sanctuary, where we create a space for women educators to reclaim their power and prioritize themselves unapologetically. If you love what you've heard, please do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women who need to hear this message. Until next time, remember, you are capable, you are powerful, and you are absolutely worthy. You've got this. Talk soon.